Hi, this is Simon Bailey from Portable Scientific. Today I'm going to take you through a quick start guide to using your Spectro Xsort4 handheld XRF. So let's just go through an overview on the outside first. There's your touchscreen. This is your battery port, so you can access the battery here. This is your trigger. If you've got a powered test stand, then you can access the port for the powered test stand here. These two metal tabs on either side are the heat sink. There's two cameras that can be utilized. This is the macro camera here, and there's an aiming camera that's in here. Spectro install all these additional features on every instrument, but they don't license them all. So what you can do is if you purchase an instrument that doesn't have these features and you wish to have them added, you let them know or let me know, and we can license those features and activate them. On the side of the touchscreen is your power button, and this is your access ports here. And you can see there's mains power here. There's a micro SD slot here, which is an additional storage. There is main storage in here aside from that. And there is a USB Type-C port there. And that's what I'm going to be using to connect now to the Xsort, just to also show you the rubber tungsten gasket. This is an interlocked gasket. It needs to be in place for the instrument to allow the reading, and it's a radiation shield, meaning there's no backscatter to the user in handheld mode. It's nice and flexible, so it will mold around the sample that you're pressing it up against. This is an older model, so I've had to mark on the sides of the flange where the center of the window is. The new ones coming have those markations already on the flange. To remove the flange, you simply lift it off. And this is where you access your window. So to access your window, all you need to do is to take this plate off. It just unclips, and you can see there's some film on there. And that film is just from a roll of 4-micron polypropylene film. So you get this roll included. And when you're putting you're replacing the film, you stretch the new film over this. And then when you attach the clip back on, you can then just tear off the film. If you don't wish to use the flange, you wish to use a test stand. This is the base plate for the test stand. It's got magnets and an interlock in it. And to attach that, you just simply slide and click the face plate over the nose piece. You mount the test stand in its little cradle so that it's nice and level. This here, so at the moment, it's easy to pull these two pieces apart. So if you put this plate on top, it just holds everything in place. And it's also a good holder for your CRM cups. They fit nicely on there, just like that. This button here is an interlock button. It's an optional interlock. You can deactivate it. When you use the test stand, it's going to be asking for that button to be pressed. And you can see here, this is the piston or the pin that's going to press on that button. So you make sure that when you line it up, that's the lid, that the pin is in place. You'll notice that if it's not in place, there's a bit of a gap there. So you just swivel it around until it finds that positioning. So whilst that's in its test stand, I'm going to take you through the operating system. This is an Android operating system. If I want to connect to my XRF, I can simply use a USB Type-C plug, which is provided. Plug that in. And I can now connect to my touchscreen via the PC. So I'm just going to show you that now. Okay, what you're seeing is a little Android app that's a free download online. It's called Screen Copy, or scrcpy.exe. And any time you have your XRF and Android XRF connected to your computer and you open the Screen Copy software, it just duplicates the screen. So this is the login screen for the Xsort. The default username and password is capital A admin, and the password is small a admin. And that will log us into the onboard system. You can see it's ready now for a measurement. It says ready for measurement, and I can simply put my sample down here. I can input some values for what it's called. Let's call it, that's a CRM, let's call it the Aureus 298. You can see I've preloaded some fields, and this is all customizable in your notes or your sample input settings. And my beam times are accessed here in the method. Just click on the side arrow next to the method. And you can see it's running 20 seconds. So 2 filters at 10 seconds each. And this is where you customize the total runtime. So I can simply tap the trigger, and that's going to start a reading labeled as Aureus 298, which is what this is. That's the first beam running now, which is your transition metals. It's a 50 kV beam. And now the second beam, which is a 15 kV beam, it's running those lighter elements. And you can see I've elected, instead of displaying SI, to display SiO2. You can do that with any of the elements that have oxide versions. You can create pseudo elements on this system. So one element divided by another, or multiple elements added together. And as you can see, there's a lot of elements that come as standard installed on this instrument that aren't standard with other systems. For in this case, thallium, platinum, iridium, bromine, indium, tantalum, gallium, germanium, hafnium, iodine, tellurium, samarium. There's a whole pile of elements. Gold is included in this instrument. If I want to change the display, I can go into the cog icon here. At the moment, it's displaying just a simple list of elements with their concentration and error. I can create a compact version of that, so fitting more elements on the screen. I tend to stick with the simple. Text size or your font size can be adjusted here, and what you're displaying in the result. If I want to run a cal check on the instrument, the cal check is down the bottom left, and you can see there's a little yellow exclamation mark. That means that it's telling me, if they call this an iCal, the iCal was run more than 24 hours ago, and it's recommended to run it, or more than 23 hours ago, sorry, it's recommended to run it, but it's not required. So you don't need to run it. And to run it, all we would do is we would place, we would essentially just go run iCal, and then we would tap the trigger. And this system takes 2 minutes to run the iCal. If you have a single beam system, it's just 1 minute. And that will just correct any drift in the instrument. This instrument doesn't require it very often, and it will tell you if it does require it. It'll be a red exclamation mark in that case. This is where you would access your camera image, and it's just going to show you what's included. and what's not. These are your most recent results, and down the bottom right is your main menu. And in the main menu, we would go to settings. And the three fields here that you're most likely to interact with, by the way, there are Android settings here to connect to Wi-Fi to a network. But the three ones that you would use here, sample input, that's where you set up your sample ID fields. Results handler, this instrument requires you to set up the export file before you take the readings. So you would set up a results handler in here. In this case, I've created one called text export. Turns out the best way to export the results to Excel in this system is via an ASCII text file. So it's storing it on the documents folder internal to the XRF. We're creating a single file with multiple readings, and we've given it a name called text export. ASCII is what you would choose, and you can go ahead and enable or disable field selections. Output profile is where you would go in and you would display the results in a different way. So for example, if I click in Geochem, which is what I'm using, there's a sample image, and this is the list of concentrations, and you can see we can add elements. So if I want to display SI instead of SiO2, I click on that. I get rid of SiO2, which is somewhere down here, probably down the bottom. There it is. Click on that and get rid of that. But I'm going to add silicon back in. And there it is. We add that. The silicon is now added back in. If you want to change the change all units to ppm or percent, you can do that here. And if you want to sort by atomic number, or if you want to sort by concentration, you can do that there. Once you've set up your sample input fields, the results handler, and the output profile, we go back to the main ready to test screen, go into your calibration, and down the bottom, make sure the output profile and the result handlers that you've created are being selected here. So when we want to export the data, I can show you how to get that off the instrument. So I have my Xsort connected to my computer via cable. It's turned on and it's showing as a drive called AEK. We can click on that. There it is. And we were sending the data to the documents folder. So there's the documents folder, and there's the file that I asked the results handler to write to, called text export. We copy that, put that on my computer. And then we can open that up. We open that by right-clicking and go open with Excel, and all the data that we had selected to be exported is here. All the elemental data and the error, and any fields, identify fields, sample ID fields are here as well. Finally, if I wish to go and delete my results, I go into the main menu. I go to the main menu, results. We open up this grouping of month results, and I can click and hold and then select all and then delete. To turn off the instrument, you press and hold the power button for about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. It gives me the option to power off, restart, or take a screenshot if you're having a technical difficulty and you wish to take a screenshot of what you're experiencing, send it to the service technician. You can do that here. So that's how to get started with your Spectro Xsort4.